we'll go to basketball right away for the hometown. So for basketball, the Knicks are 2-8, really struggling. Haven't gotten wins since they beat the Hornets a few weeks ago. Lost to Atlanta 85-91. Lost to Orlando 95-97. J.R. Smith took a game-winning shot. A lot of people are questioning his decision because it looks like he had a chance to give it to Melo, and Melo was taking the shot instead of him. And they lost to the Jazz last night off of Trey Burke buzzer beater. Play Denver tomorrow, play Milwaukee Tuesday, play T-Wolves Wednesday, and play Sixers Saturday. They better get at least one win within those 4 games.
Now you said earlier, you told me earlier, if the Knicks lose to the 76ers on Saturday, their season's over.
Yeah. Yep. Sixers are winless. I mean,
bad. And I also have to point out, you said that people were questioning J.R. Smith. Why are people still questioning J.R. Smith? We know he's an idiot.
Because
I think you just need to I think you need to keep him off the floor in the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, unless you're up 60. And then I don't understand why Knicks fans, or I shouldn't say Knicks fans, Knicks management is upset with him. You're keeping him on the floor, and you know how he is.
All right, so I just had a heart attack there. All right, we're good.
I might be doing the show solo next week.
So I'll move on with Brooklyn. Brooklyn had 2 games last week. They lost to Phoenix 104-112. They were winning for most of that game, kind of blew in near the end. And then they lost to Golden State the day after 99-107. They have a tough schedule, actually. They play at Portland, play Miami, play Milwaukee, and OKC throughout the week. So it's going to be kind of tough. At least 2 of those games on the road. I'm not sure if Miami's home or not. Be interesting to see. Brooklyn, they're 4-4 right now. So they got to get a couple wins. But 4-4, I mean, in the East, I'll probably cut it, especially with the Knicks and Sixers and teams like that.
Yeah, I think the Nets will probably end up with the 8th seed in the East.
Yeah.
But onto the NFL, the Giants. Your New York Giants lost to the Seahawks 38-17. They are now 3-6 on the year. They'll play the 49ers tomorrow in MetLife. 1 o'clock, so look for another loss there for the New York Giants. The New York Jets, they beat my Steelers 2013. Props to them again. I'm not going to be a total sore loser. They have a bye week this week. So I don't expect any moves from the Jets. But Percy Harvin seems to be liking it. I'm surprised by that.
Mm-hmm.
As for hockey, the Devils, they're 8-7-2 now. They lost at the Bruins 4-2 on Monday, beat the Wild 3-1 on Tuesday, won in Washington against the Capitals, 1-0 on Friday. They play the Avalanche tonight. I'll get you a score update on that. They play in Winnipeg for the Jets on Monday and in Edmonton for the Oilers on Friday. Now, as for that game right now, let's check up on that. I don't follow the Devils too much, but they're 1-1 with the Avalanche right now, with about 12 minutes left in the third period. So we'll get you a final before we, if it gets to a final. Before we wrap up the show tonight, Rangers are 7-6-3. This is a sour topic for me. Lost at the Maple Leafs 5-4 on Saturday. Lost to the Oilers 3-1 on Sunday. They beat the Penguins 5-0 on Tuesday. Nothing to report there. Lost to the Avalanche in a shootout on Thursday. Now, they play the Penguins in Pittsburgh tonight. Penguins looking for some revenge. It's 2-2 right now. A couple minutes into the third period. So again, look to get you a final before we end the show tonight. They play Tampa Bay on Monday. They play the Flyers on Wednesday, and they're in Buffalo for the Sabres on Friday. The Islanders are...
They're doing good.
They're surprising. They're second in the Metropolitan besides the Penguins, of course. Behind the Penguins, of course. They're 11-5-0. They beat the Coyotes 1-0 Saturday. Beat the Avalanche 6-0 on Tuesday. Beat the Panthers in Florida in a shootout on Friday. They play the Lightning today and tomorrow, and they play the Penguins Friday and Saturday. So tough stretch for them. But the Islanders have been great this year. I'm actually really surprised. you don't really expect too much from the Islanders, but they've been doing phenomenally this year. Now, for the homer statement of the week, it's probably going to go to Georgia, if we could fast forward through the night, but that game hasn't gone to final yet, so I'm not going to award it to myself just yet. Snowball, you did want to talk about your own high school alumni, so I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, so Chris Hogan hit 74 receiving yards, led the game in receiving yards. As I said before, 2 touchdowns this year. Was a high school star in lacrosse, actually, at Rampo. He was good at football, but more at lacrosse. Went to Penn State for lacrosse for, I think, a year or two. Then went to Monmouth to play football. Dolphins had interest on him. They signed him, asked him to try out for the team in the preseason. And he was on Hard Knocks, you know. If you watch Hard Knocks and you saw the Dolphins one, he was 24/7. That's what Reggie Bush called him, open 24/7. And he caught everything in practice. Was asked to join the practice squad for Dolphins. He said no, went to sign with the Bills. Didn't really do a lot last year, but this year he's starting to play more, and Kyle Orton is actually starting to like him as a target. He's been a good wide receiver 3 for the Bills this year, and he's looking good. And it's good for New Jersey. It's good for Rampo High School, and it's good for NFL. So go Chris Hogan. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Yep. We always love to see the Jersey boys doing well in the pros. Now, as for the Joel Embiid Memorial segment, we didn't actually have a hashtag for tonight, but just to keep you updated on some social media news, Brandon Marshall actually had an interesting Twitter conversation with what you would call a Twitter troll. Now, he was a Lions fan. Brandon Marshall had called the Lions the Bears' little brother. Brandon Marshall, posted an Instagram picture, and this guy started insulting Brandon Marshall on there. Then, apparently, Brandon Marshall responded with a tweet offering the man $5,000 to fight him in the boxing ring. He also said that if he won, the fan would have to serve 100 hours in an orphanage, based on his comments. Now, this guy ended up replying something like, make it 25 and we can do it in Detroit. Brandon Marshall ended up replying, saying 25 it is. You thought I wouldn't say yes. This kept escalating, and there wasn't actually a resolution. But obviously the guy backed down, wasn't going to actually box Brandon Marshall. But then Brandon Marshall goes back on Twitter and says, I guess someone didn't want to participate in my boxing match for charity. So Brandon Marshall's not afraid to put himself out there on social media. The Bears are reportedly going to address it somehow. And surprisingly this week, there weren't a whole lot of gems from Joel Embiid himself, despite the Sixers being absolutely terrible. He has shown his support for the Eagles, because that's the only decent team in Philadelphia right now. But it was actually surprising to me that there wasn't much there from at Joel Embiid. Now, I felt the bro of the week needed a little rest after the vacation, the vacating of the trophy last week. So we're going to take a rest on that. I'll hand it over to the snowball effect, though. That's you, Snowball. Okay, Snowball. As we said, we don't think it's actually the favorite segment, so it's really not that important. It can wait until after. Bang bang, who's hot, who's not. Now, who's hot right now is Marshall University. The Thundering Herd have been absolutely on fire. They haven't been getting the proper recognition just because they play in Conference USA. Today they beat Rice 41-14. And Marshall's been great. They're undefeated. And almost all of their wins are blowouts. They've won 42-27, 48-7,
All
44-14.
right, Nick. So now that you think that technical difficulties, you think you could skip the favorite segment of the week?
No. We weren't going to skip it. I'm just holding it off.
All right, so it's time for your favorite segment of the week.
You're just going to cut me off mid-rant about Marshall?
Yeah.
Okay.
His favorite segment of the week, Snowball Effect. Adrian Peterson is part of the Snowball Effect. Today he missed a hearing about whether he could be reinstated or not in the NFL. Trying to make a statement supposedly. This was a big hearing. It was going to decide his future, and now I don't know what's going to happen. So, and I think it's just going to make things worse, which is why he's on the Snowball Effect. It's just going to make this big snowball that it's never going to break apart. So, good job of keep on piling snow on that snowball, AB.
Okay.
So, continue.
So back to Marshall. They're undefeated. They're 9-0. They do play in Conference USA, so they don't have that great of competition. They're currently, I believe, 20th in the college football playoff rankings. Now, the closest game they've played this season, they won 35-16. So that goes to show how dominant they actually are. They've won 42-27, 48-7, 44-14, 48-17, 56-14, 49-24, 45-13, 35-16, 63-17. They won 41-14. It's amazing for Marshall, especially they've kind of been irrelevant for a while, and it's great to see. They probably, I would say, they're definitely not making the playoff. But I'm hoping, I've been saying this all season long, I'm hoping for a nice bowl for Marshall, because it's a great story to see this program come so far. Now, who's not hot is the Philadelphia 76ers. We said they've been terrible. They're winless. Now, the other night they played the Mavericks, and this was an interesting game, because the Mavericks could have won that game if they didn't score an entire point in the second half. At halftime, they ended up winning the game 123-70. The Mavericks won. Now, at halftime, the Mavericks scored 73 in the first half. The Sixers scored 70 all game. They were winning 73-29 at halftime. Michael Carter-Williams actually had a pretty good game, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, but obviously the kid can't do it by himself. No, we were talking about this before the show. If you look at the 76ers roster, I really don't know half their players. I know Luke Richard Mbamute. I don't know how to say his name. I know Tony Roten. I know Hollis Thompson. I know Nerlens Noel. I know Michael Carter-Williams, Drew Gordon, and Alexei Shved I barely know. So that's 7 players of 15 on the roster? I don't think that's good. I don't know if they're actually tanking or they're not doing it on purpose, but if you look at their roster, Henry Sims, no disrespect to these players, but I don't know where they're getting these guys from. I've never heard of them. Henry Sims, KJ McDaniels. Those guys are both starters. I've never heard their names. Jakar Sampson, Brandon Davies, Chris Johnson, not Chris Johnson on the Jets. Chris Johnson, apparently he's a power forward. But I guess the 76ers are tanking again. One of Sam Hinkie's great tactics as general manager, if you want to call it that. I don't really know what they're doing. Just update you on the college football scores. I don't know if the game actually went final in Stanford. Did it go? Yeah, it actually went final. Utah ended up winning in double overtime, 20-17. As for the games going on right now, Miami scored again. They're up 23-7 with 11 minutes left in the first half. Georgia is still up 17-7 on Auburn. So 2 upsets we're looking to see there. Michigan State is only up 9-0 on Maryland.